Everyone. Good evening. We are a small and vital and centered group, aren't we? Okay. Welcome to this Wednesday evening session. I am Judith Byrd-Bullock, one of the staff ministers here, and I thank you all for coming out. It's so lovely outside, right? You just want to do things. I'm going to do the announcements first, then give us an opening treatment, and then we'll have our short lesson, which is on faith. Then we'll address the treatment requests. So this Sunday, July the 15th, continues with our lessons from Dr. Barker on Treat Yourself to Life. And this lesson will be given by our Reverend Robert Villanova. Treat yourself to success. The noon meetings continue from 12:10 to 12:50 daily, Monday through Friday. And I am the speaker for this evening. Next Wednesday, I believe Reverend Carol Lynch will be the evening speaker. The summer classes continue. There are flyers in the bookstore, so pick up a flyer so you won't miss any of the good classes we're having. And if you missed yesterday, you already missed one of the wonderful sessions from Reverend Jackson. But you have an opportunity to come next Tuesday at 2 or 6:30, where I'm sure she'll go over a little, at least, of what you missed yesterday. Our committee of 1,000 is still looking for recruits. So if you want to be a part of the givingness, the service of the church, think about joining in that way. I think that's it. Okay, let us know. This word is spoken as the truth already within the law for each person here and for each person on their way, for each in the consciousness of the oneness with Spirit, recognizing, understanding, affirming, speaking through knowing the truth, that there is one power, one presence, one intelligence, one life, and that life is God, the good, the absolute. It is all there is nothing else, and it expresses itself through its centers of itself, each one here. Each here then is all that God is in their entirety, and each is awakening to the realization that I and the Father are one, I and cause are one. And each is choosing to grow in that awareness, to move forward in that awareness, and have that divine presence within guide and direct them in every step on their journey. And in this decision to work with Spirit, each enjoys life in a greater and grander ways. Each sees the truth unfold for them, sees the infinite possibilities, and are aware that they can accomplish much more than they ever dreamed. Each takes this stand in spirit, and each is accepting the kingdom of the all good right here and right now. I declare this as the truth within the law that is always saying yes, says yes, and it is done. And for this I give thanks, and so it is. And so it is. Okay. I think it's always beneficial to reread the chapters in our textbook, because we want to remember what we've learned before, so it stays paramount in our consciousness, so we're able to use the principles and stand in the truth that this teaching teaches us. And just don't wait for the assigned reading pages of the accredited class. No, just pick up the textbook anytime and start reading. In the newer textbooks, in the front of it, it has like a couple of pages a day that enables you to go through the whole book in a year. And yeah, it's nice. That's what I've been doing. So, Dr. Holmes has an excellent chapter on faith in our textbook. So, I want to go over some of the principles that he mentioned in that. One, he says that no class of people on earth believe more in prayer than we do. And that's because the whole theory of our teaching is based not only in spirit, but in the availability of spirit and in its immediate response. No, there is no place where God is not. God is always available. God is always responding to us, because though there is the love of God that is unconditional, that is enveloping each person with power, with peace, with love, with all its qualities, there is also the law of God that responds to us, that we think into, so that God can't help but respond to us. As a matter of fact, Dr. Holmes says, if we pray right, God cannot help but respond. So God is always listening. Because of our faith, there is no confusion in our feelings or in our approach to prayer. Our faith is calm and clear. It's positive. It's filled with creative feeling and emotion. And we should combine the letter and the spirit of the law when we pray. The letter of the law is the mechanical part of the treatment, our mental statement. The spirit of the law is the deep conviction which colors and clothes the statement we make with energy and with life, with substance, with the ability to outpicture in the outer. And this is the combination of physical and spiritual perfection. We say faith is the power of prayer. But what is faith? The dictionary says that faith is believing without proof, trust, and that's so. But Dr. Holmes gives many more definitions in our text. He says, one, it is a mental attitude against which there is no longer any contradictions in the mind of the prayer. Two, a mental attitude which is so convinced of its own idea, so completely accepting it, that any contradiction is unthinkable and impossible. Faith. Faith is mental assertion elevated to the place of realization that for it identifies itself with reality in such a way that reality becomes visible to the mind and the unseen seen. So, in other words, faith becomes the stuff. Faith becomes the loving relationship. Faith becomes the health in our bodies. Faith becomes the wonderful jobs. It becomes the success. It becomes the opportunities. it becomes the abundant living that we all want and are entitled to by right of birth, but we can only accept it by right of consciousness. So it's like a stick. Cause here, faith, manifestation here, the effect. But it's one. Can't be separated. Cause and effect, faith and manifestation. But before such a mental attitude can be created, there has to be nothing left in the consciousness that can contradict our conscious belief. That means no acceptances from the race consciousness. Because usually the race consciousness is limited, which seems surprising to me, but it is. Fear is just misplaced faith. It's a lack in the awareness of the presence of God. It's a lack in the belief that Source God is always there, here, right where you are, and always supporting you. And actually, there is nothing to fear because there is only God the good. What is there to fear? Disease, war, fighting, whatever. What can be too much for spirit to handle? Nothing. So, fear, being misplaced faith, is the consciousness that says, I'll never make it. I'll never have any good in my life. I know this man is not going to stay. I know I'm going to be the first one to go in this job. Things like that go over and over in our minds. Oh, sorry. We did the announcements already. Okay. Before such a mental, okay. There are all kinds of fear. And they're not always conscious feelings. When you kind of hold back, when you don't put yourself out there, when you don't work from who you are. Reverend Joy said something that really stuck to me. I think it was Sunday. She said it's like a bowler who's bowling. And instead of, you know how they go for the whole thing? You just go for 2 pins. That's what a lack of faith will do. You can't see the infinite possibility for you. So then you just narrow yourself and go for that little bit that you think you're worthy of. Because that's what it boils down to, whether you realize it or not. Faith is real to the one who experiences it and has proven it. Because they just know. And you can't tell anybody anything that know that faith works. So, 3. What is the faith that we should have? 1, he says, we should know there is but one mind. That mind is God. That mind is perfect. And that mind is my mind now. Not when we pass on, and if we've been good enough, we merge into the great one, but now, right here and right now. This mind is the essence of creativity, the essence of goodness. It is the field of infinite possibility, and it is the mind that we use in the here and now, moment by moment, thought by thought, day by day. And it's available to all. It can't be a respecter of persons because it has already been incarnated through all. The divine presence is within all. We already have everything within us. But the use of it is up to us. And that depends on our consciousness, whether or not we can use it with clarity, with assurance, with rightness. 3, know that faith won't be denied. Faith does not take no for an answer. It speaks on affirmative and accepting language only. Just says, yes, okay, go for it. 4, faith knows that the universe is a spiritual system, and man and his environment are also part of this system. Because the system is perfect, the conditions may become perfect and would be perfect if we were to know it to be perfect. So you are the knower of the truth for yourself. 5, faith knows that the life of man is God, the living Spirit Almighty, the breathless, deathless reality of all being, God. Faith looks to the invisible, and instead of seeing a void, it fastens its gaze upon a solid reality. The faith that is essential to effective mental treatment is understanding that we are working with the principles that have been proven, defined, that we know how it works, and we know how to use the law that makes it work. Our faith in the laws enables us to use our understanding of them with greater conviction and clarity. Love is the impulse of mental treatment, and spiritual knowing is the way of mental treatment. And of course, we have to have a consciousness of the divine presence within, of course, ourselves, but within the persons that we're treating for. Because we're not treating for anything to happen. We're treating really for the wholeness that is already there to be revealed. And when we're treating for things and conditions to be demonstrated, we're treating for the giveness of spirit to itself to be realized by the person. And it has to come under good. It has to be good for all concerned. It has to be life affirming. You can't pray, I don't want to say for anything bad or negative, but we often say, or I used to say, that they get what they deserve. But you mean it in a kind of negative way. You know? What's that? Anyway, treat and know and speak something good at all times, in all situations. Because always there is something good in every person, in every condition, in every situation, if you look for it. If you look through the outside to the center, which is the activity of spirit. Faith is a dynamic fact, and it can be active faith, which is consciously applying faith for definite purposes, like treatment, or passive faith, which is general acceptance of good without conscious application. And that's when you just expect something good to happen to you all the time. You just expect things to go your way. You expect people to like you. You expect things to work out. And why should you not? Because your consciousness is filled with love and givingness and acceptance. And consciousness, that's a magnet that brings those things to you. So your expectation is just for the good. And it's just general good, because not passive in that, but passive in not being active like in demonstration for treatments. Faith is a thing of thought, a movement of consciousness and perception, of expectation and awareness. And it means that faith can be consciously generated. We already have faith because we are faith, but you want to be aware of it. You want to be able to stand on the faith that you already are. And you get there by going back to, who am I? What is the law? What am I believing and feeling and thinking about it? Belief, acceptance, trust equals faith. Belief, acceptance, and trust equals faith. Faith is our attitude. It is our nature. It is, Dr. Grayson said, I remember, our spiritual spine. I like that idea. Faith is our spiritual spine, our total conscious and subconscious understanding that we are. And we are at one with the one. I pulled these statements of faith out of a book that I love. St. Augustine said, faith is to believe what we do not see. The reward of the faith is to see whatever we believe. Emerson said, all I have seen teaches me to trust the Creator for all I have not seen. Tolstoy says, faith is the force of life. And Charles Wesley said, faith, mighty faith, the promise sees and rests on that alone. It laughs at impossibilities and says it shall be done. Faith. And from the Bible, Corinthians 5:7, we walk by faith, not by sight. Faith. So in closing, resolve to have faith in yourself. Resolve to have faith in life. Resolve to have not only faith in God, but the faith of God that just knows. And so ends my lesson. Okay, perfect timing. Thank you.